Dushik texts her mom to tell her not to come back, but as the door stops shaking, she gets a text saying she's already there and found the door. Thinking her mother is in danger, Kyungmi begins moving the dresser back, but as more texts from her mom asking for help arrive, she realizes they have perfect spelling when her mother usually doesn't type so well. It's then that she realizes Dushik has her phone and she stops moving the dresser just in time for him to appear at the door gate. He tries to grab her hand, but Kyungmi manages to pull it back and lock the door on his face. This doesn't stop him for long, however. Dushik begins destroying the door with his axe to make his way inside. Not having another way out, Kyungmi jumps off the window, but Dushik grabs her by hair as she falls. She struggles against the hole and manages to make it let go, causing her to fall safely on a pile of trash. Kyungmi begins running again and Dushik goes after her. Soon Jong-tak finds them and joins the chase too. After running through dozens of blocks, Dushik corners Kyungmi in a closed area, and he's about to attack when Jong-tak arrives. To stop him from hitting him, Dushik puts his own knife against his neck and threatens to kill himself, which means Jong-tak would never know where his sister is. With Jong-tak frozen in place, Dushik sends a text to his phone with Seo-yoon's location and makes him choose between the two girls. Jong-tak apologizes to Kyungmi and runs away in search of Seo-yoon at the address he was given, Kyungmi's house. Obviously, Dushik lied and the place is empty, and Jong-tak only comes across the mother when she comes back. Meanwhile, Kyungmi tries to use a chair from the trash to defend herself, but Dushik takes it from her and uses it to pin her to the ground. While he uses the phone to talk to Jong-tak and call him a bad person for having left her there, Kyungmi grabs some dirt and throws it at Dushik's face to use the distraction to push him off her and start running again. When she reaches the street where his van is, he sees the door open and Seo-yoon coming out of it, asking for help with a knife in her hand. As the mother and Jong-tak reach the closed area and find it empty, the two girls hide in an alley, right behind a trash container. Kyungmi wants Seo-yoon to call 911, but she refuses because she can hear Dushik nearby, who has discovered there is no body in the van, so Kyungmi decides on a plan. She writes on her phone a message to Seo-yoon, telling her to call her brother because he's nearby, before giving it to her and grabbing the knife in return. While Dushik is turned around, she leaves the alley and hides, only coming out again when the murderer is about to find Seo-yoon. She makes a weird noise with her mouth and shakes a nearby metal shutter, and once he has Dushik's